Give me a second. Let me advise the driver. Please join the daily watch along. I think none of us can be heard.
Really?
I mean, I'm in, but I don't hear us.
Do you see us?
I do see us.
Give it a minute. Maybe test. Now?
Yeah, I can hear us.
Okay, perfect. All right, man. So let's go. Let's dive into breaking down last week right away. We had a interesting safety meeting as well, driver meeting that kind of turned into a little bit of everything where people were asking a variety of different questions. So that was fun. Um,
It was.
okay, so I'll let you break down the week for us.
Okay, last week, and this is on the April 1st, but we're covering last week in this segment. We had 5,800 loads imported, and out of those 5,816 loads, we placed a bid on 2,103, and we booked 197 loads with a bid win ratio of 951%. Um, drivers booked or drivers available should have been written here as 65 with the average driver pay of 1,818. So approximately last week we placed a bid on a little bit more than a third of all loads that we had in our system.
Mm-hmm.
So almost two-thirds of our loads have been either declined or expired in our system, not used by us or our drivers. It was under the average in every sense week, kind of thrown off a little bit by the holiday Easter.
Mm-hmm.
Friday was very slow. Thursday was slowish, but Friday was very, very slow compared to the usual day. So we ended up being below average in almost every aspect that we had. But really, the point still stands on the averages. When you have an average, then you look at it as a whole picture. When you have, you know, 5,000, almost 6,000 loads, and you place bid on 2,100.
Mm-hmm.
It really is a sad story to see that we're not using a lot of those loads. So our goal going forward will be to recognize out of those two-thirds of loads, 4,000 loads, which one are those that we can incorporate into the bids or can turn into bids, not into declines or expired. Overall bad week. I'll have to say like that. But that's week is already behind us. We should look ahead of us this week. Hopefully, can be way better, and we can improve in every aspect that is covered here. But I wanted to cover specifically Friday. If you can move the next slide, even though it's a weekly review in this sense, but I wanted to cover next slide.
Yeah. So the only thing I'll say, man, is obviously when we're talking about holiday weeks, we have to evaluate them through that spectrum. And for a holiday week to be better than our weeks or almost on par as the latest weeks we've had, um, I think we made the most out of the opportunities that we had. I think those weeks are always more competitive. Other carriers are bidding lower prices to try to get booked. So I think all things considered, um, it's tough to compare a holiday week to a normal week. Um,
It is bad week if we compare it to a normal week. But if we compare it to some holiday weeks, I guess it's a pretty decent one. I think here we have a little bit of more of the info on what happened with loads, more specifically last Friday. So we had 248 bids. Now usually on a normal day we had around 500 plus bids, so it's 50% drop. We had 465 expired loads. But we had a double almost loads that expired
Mm,
compared to bids. So these are
right.
loads that no one did anything with them. So they went to drivers on a self dispatch. Drivers didn't decline them. Drivers didn't place bids. We didn't place bids
Mm-hmm.
to extension. So we have 465 loads, real loads that were not in any way attended.
Right. Right.
That's giant space for improvement, everyone. If
Mm-hmm.
you're planning to be a self-dispatch driver, if you're planning to have yellow states, please, please, please help us book you. I, do not tie our hands. If you use app correctly, as Aldin said last week, you can be all yellow and still be among top earners.
Mm-hmm.
But that means that you are half driver, half dispatcher, and it really is a time-consuming task because some drivers, new drivers, when they come in without experience in the industry, they say, "Oh, I see seven loads. You place bid on me. You give me zero." Yes, because there were just bids, and we sometimes need to place 10 plus bids in order to get one load. So that's the reason behind it. If we turn these expired into bids, I think I'm quite certain that every driver would be booked. If we just following the logic of numbers, 465. Okay, let's not place every bid. 300 more bids.
Mm-hmm.
So that means 50% more on the in every aspect. 197 of those bids were self-declined, meaning the drivers declined them on their own. 199 was declined by dispatch. Average rate per mile last Friday was 0.93 cents a mile with average load pay of 700.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a numbers game. We keep talking about this. I'm starting to feel like a parrot, but it's a numbers game. You know, the in order to book more loads, you got to place more bids, or you got to drop your prices. And that's all. That's the only options, really. That is the only options. You either drop your prices or you place more bids. Now, that's the only immediate option, the only option that we can implement right away, right? What I mean by that is, of course, we're always working behind the scenes on improving relationships with customers. We're always working on giving our customers more convenient tools and technology and access to our app so they'll want to go with us, even, pay a little bit more money. But those are all things, man, that don't make an immediate impact. Those are all things that are already there. We are getting the rates we're getting because we have good relationships with our customers. But what can we do immediately is place more bids. We had 248 bids on last Friday, like you said, and double the amount of loads expired. Now, if we had 300 bids, we would have booked about 300 loads, right? Um, what's the number of loads we booked on Friday? It's not here.
27. It's
Okay.
not here. It's 27.
Yeah. If we placed 300 bids, it would have been 30. If we placed 400 bids, it would have been 40. So, I mean,
Yeah.
drivers who kind of close off a lot of their map and add additional restrictions and stuff, just understand that at the end of the week, the amount of money you're going to make is going to depend on the amount of bids that are placed for you. Code red drivers, obviously, with
Yeah,
the weekend, this looks big and scary.
it does with the weekend. It does look like that, and it's some of them are already on the move, for what I see. And So 485 from Florida home, 161 St. Louis home. He was available last Friday with only Monday delivery. Sadly, we didn't book him. Um, 020 St. Louis, he's at home as well. So pretty much everything is just over the weekend. Drivers not booked over the weekend. So everything that is or okay, I'll talk about drivers that had more than 20 pit. That means they were available Friday as well, not just Saturday or Sunday. So 188 home in Abilene, Texas. 581 he's in West, that's St. Paul, Minnesota. Um, yeah, he's been available part of the Friday as well. I think he needs to be home as well by the end of the week. But everyone else is pretty much except 581. Everyone is at home since Friday, and most of them, not all of them, are on self dispatch, so they were picking and choosing loads. Because of course it's weekend, so it's for them. It's when they're home. I guess they might want to get a perfect load, quote unquote, over the weekend. Um,
Yeah, I
and
think the
yeah,
logic most people have in their home is, I'll keep things on in case something too good to pass up pops up that
yeah,
aligns
but
with my current,
yeah, but
schedule.
not yeah, nothing specific really to cover here because most of it is just weekend, and this happens every week that we have drivers waiting for a longer period of time due to this weekend being 85% slower than the normal days,
Hmm.
weekdays.
Cool. Okay, let's break this down. Again, man, we forgot to make these pop up with the down there, but tomorrow they will.
Okay, yeah,
So Ahmed had 364 bids. This was last week. 56% follow-up ratio. Booked 29 loads with an average revenue per load of 600. Mohammed had
the
719 bids.
revenue per load is 600 just on the company, like for everyone. I mean, just the company wise, it's 600 for the last week.
Okay,
That's why it's gonna be the same for everyone, but it's not really. Someone has
right.
higher, someone has lower.
Yeah, but we'll present people's numbers then going forward.
All right.
Yeah, we have their data. And then Hod is booking 78 loads, 59% follow-up ratio. So what you got to do, man, is get everyone to that 60% that we talk about. Um, Follow-up is when we submit a bid, a couple minutes later we send the broker customer an email saying, "Hey, do we have a chance to book this? How's our bid?" It's not something that locks in the load and makes it 100% guaranteed yours, but it gives you an extra 1 or 2%, of securing that shipment. So that's something that all of our guys should be doing regularly.
Okay, 60% it is.
Driver spotlight, what do you got?
Yeah, Suad, I just want to mention her here. Really, she was booked to Denver and she got stuck there for a couple of days. And just wanted to say in front of the whole team, thank you so much for being so patient. If you're watching this, because everyone reported really that you've been the most patient driver ever with the on the calls and us trying to explain the situation and trying to book you and everything. You've been very, very patient. And since you're a new driver as well, for us that means a lot. It means that you have that trust in us from the beginning. And I don't think that she was booked from Denver by I think weekend guys in the end booked her
Hmm.
to Los Angeles. And we're gonna try to really to make this week better than the previous one. And thank you so much from everyone for your patience.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing. Um, all right, so this is last week or last Friday?
Uh, yeah, we're just taking last week as a whole here. I think we covered this load earlier. The Grand
Okay,
Rapids, Saskatoon, 1,700 miles, $2,200.
nice.
Amazing load. And that just wanted to mention the driver that did this load to Saskatoon got our load back from Saskatoon to Indiana, which makes it even more even better.
Yeah. This is a
I
new
don't know
one.
who. Yeah, this is a new one. I don't, yeah, this is. I think this is had. Yeah, this is it's underpaid really, but the driver wanted this. He likes the longer loads. This is really underpaid load. 2,450 miles, $2,050. The longer load, I understand that delivery Monday, and then you're starting the week with 2,000 in the revenue, but it's still where you go. And he decided that, and if we were placing this bid, we probably would skip or place not skip, but place way higher than this. Hopefully,
Yeah,
it will not get
I
stuck
think the
there.
system has a dollar built in, I believe. So on this one, we would have placed right about 24, 2,500. The
Right.
thing is, probably wouldn't have gotten it because this is the kind of prices that people are bidding on these longer loads. And this has always been the most difficult lane for us to figure out what we want to do with, because if we do book it, we have to book it at this kind of a rate, which we consider to be undervalued or underpriced, I should say. Um, and if we don't book it, then we miss out on a bunch of these, and people are saying, well, I don't get these long loads anymore. So it's always been a tough one because, again, the industry, everyone is competing for these. These are the premium loads, and they're willing to bid these stupid rates. Let's call them that. I think this one we did talk about.
Yeah, we did talk about this. Same thing. Driver was a little bit stuck in Washington, and he booked himself out of there after
Yeah,
3 days of trying.
we're gonna change the parameters, man, because we're presenting these best loads, and then we're saying, how these are actually not the best loads. So we're gonna change
Well,
the
but yeah, yeah, it's a good load. I mean, it's a good load getting the driver out of there. But the previous one, I said it's a best load. It's a good load, but the rate was not as good. But for the driver, I guess, as you said before, when the bank comes, they might not be asking, what was your rate per mile. They're asking if you have $1,000 or not
right,
on the road. So that makes sense. But on this one, it's a very good one because the driver was booked to East after some period of time waiting.
right. So as far as the dispatch settings, we talked about this before. The understanding the rates. We spent the weekend during the safety meeting talking about this as well for a little bit. But yeah, I mean, essentially, as far as the rates go, if you want to go to the west, if you want to go to A5, 6, 7, and 8, understand that to come out, the rates are about 70 cents a mile. Um, if you don't like driving for those rates, then stay out of those areas. And it's again one of those, tricky situations where that's half of the U.S. And what you're left with if you don't want to drive for those rates is A1, 2, 3, and 4. And that's this green, different shades of green, and then the Canada, of course. But here's the thing, man. I think that drivers who go to these 1, 2, 3, and 4, and go to Canada and have a pretty good, either go green heavy, or they are quick to bid. I mean, I think that they can still make money and stay busy with the current situation.
I agree. I agree. As long as you're flexible when in a tough spot, you get rewarded later. It's just like that.
Yes, sir. All right. Your Monday morning thoughts set the tone for your whole week. See yourself getting stronger and living a fulfilled and happier life. What do you think about that?
Project project a good week. This morning at the meeting with the staff, I said project the good week. It's gonna have to be a good week. Inshallah, it will be a good week. But just we need to project it. We need to visualize it. It's gonna
Visualize a good
happen.
week.
Yeah.
Um, I mean that just we're done with this. I just want to chat for a minute then. This is kind of goes in line with the modern day, project, manifest, all of that kind of stuff. What are,
Mm.
what are, what are your thoughts of that topic?
I think it helps. I think it helps immensely. I think, of course, that's my personal opinion, and a lot of the people out there will share this opinion. But I think that everything is predetermined in a
Hmm.
way, and your whole life is predetermined, and you're going through that path that is predetermined. But within that uh, predetermination, you have your own way of manifesting that what is predetermined. So you go ahead and do your business in a way that you project it, the way that you um, decide. If you decide to be negative, the outcome of that predetermination, that's already a knowledge of God's knowledge, might be negative. But if you choose to be positive, it might be positive. And it's just like doing the correct things, but in the same time, just visualizing and um, manifest manifesting what is positive, what is good. Hopefully, and I mean, just as a logical thing, as a rational thing, I don't know a single whatever serial killer or someone that was innately just spreading good things around him or something like that, unless manipulating people. But so it's like that. If you're too negative, you might end up in a circle of people or in situations that you really don't want to be.
Yeah, I mean, there's the topic of manifestation and what's the other one? You can manifest it and you can visualization or whatever. There's like a base level of it that's just like a common sense. Like if you're positive and have a positive outlook in life, and if you believe that you're going to succeed, then it's going to be more likely that you succeed. There's a common sense level of that, right? Like, of course, if I go through my day thinking it's going to be a good day, then I'm going to be in a happier mood. The people I interact with are going to receive the best version of me, and then they're going to be able to they're going to be more likely to reciprocate and give me the best version of themselves. And you know, if you're in a sales job and you're going through your day thinking it's going to be an amazing day, for example, then every single call you make is going to be you at your A game because you're expecting a good day. And then you at your A game is how you have a good day, right? And I mean, the whole life is a bunch of sales like interactions. I mean, everything we do has elements of sales when we interact, manage people, when we say hi to someone. If you say hi in a positive way and with a positive tone, they're more likely to lift their own spirits. But
That's
then
right.
there is an element of that goes into like the whole juju foo, like you're literally attracting um, not not what's the word not figuratively speaking, but like literally speaking, you are manifesting for things to play out. And people say, well, I manifested this, when I was last year, when I was this and that, I manifested having a house and so the reason I have it is because I manifested
Yeah,
it,
not
and
because of
then
that.
that attracts the universe to send me things. And I think that there's an element of it that's literally like on a scientific level is how they view it, or what's that called? Neoscience, the neoscience. There's a word, man.
I don't know, Nazism.
No, not Nazism. Pseudoscience.
Ah, pseudoscience. Yeah, like fake science.
Yeah, yeah. There's a level where it's like pseudoscience where they say that they literally manifested the universe and the atoms and the whatever
Yeah,
like.
someone wants to play a god in that sense, but it's not really.
Well, I think it's because the modern day world is anti-God. It's like let's attribute things to anything besides God. And what I find the most funny is in media, like in movies and shows and stuff, the word universe is literally being used to directly replace the word God. And it's being used
Hmm.
in the same context, which is funny to me. Like they will literally say, like, well, if you ask for it, the universe is gonna give you things, and The universe is going to test you with things at times, and it's like just to appeal to a relatively small segment of people who are anti-God. We are just literally replacing the word God with the word universe. And then besides it, like it doesn't offer any bigger explanation. Like when you say to me, if I didn't believe in God, and then someone said, well, the universe is going to give you X, Y, and Z, I would be like, what do you mean? The universe is just a byproduct of a big bang, and it's a lifeless thing out there, and it's just a bunch of rocks and a bunch of whatever, fire and gas and whatever, right? I'm not a science guy. But the idea of settling and accepting a phrase like, well, the universe is going to give you this, but pushing back to the phrase God's going to give you this is silly to me, because at least there's
Yes.
a explanation that
It's
says,
intentional as well. It's
right,
intentional. Let's
right.
let's not forget that. It's not like something, oh, someone started using. It's intentionally created out there in order to destroy good the traditional religions. And I'm not saying Islam, I'm not saying Christianity, I'm saying every traditional religion and understanding like every moral code that is based on a religion. That's why it's out there.
Well, yeah, yeah, and I think that even that there's an agenda behind. And it's this thing of creating us into consumers that are only worried about consuming in this life as much as possible, because that's where the powers to be benefit, right? By having a billion people who don't think about afterlife, who don't make sacrifices in this life with the goal of afterlife in mind. No, but instead, a billion people who view, like, I have X amount of time in this world, and I need to taste every single food, and I need to drive every single car, and I need to have own every type of electronic, because
Mm.
then we just become consumers, right? But when you have people that are not obsessed with that, right? When you have people that are like, I don't care about the material world. I care about doing good deeds, and I care about helping people, and I care about being a good human being. And I don't care about what kind of car I drive and what kind of house I have and what kind of, you know, those people,
Yeah.
it's harder to manipulate. And just people with a purpose, people with a vision, people with a goal, people with a divine belief are harder to manipulate than people. And that's why the whole YOLO movement, that was a big thing for a while. You only live once, so live it up, make the most of this life. That's why that was so big. And that wasn't accidental either. Yeah, I mean, I think everything going on is planned. Um, None of it is accidental. But
100%, 100%. But YOLO movement and everything that existed for millennia. It's not like something new. But in the last hundred-ish years or more, specifically in the last 30-ish years, that YOLO movement and this whole um, let's push for one agenda has really come into the light. Like you had in medieval times, you had people saying you heard the saying "carpe diem" or "enjoy the moment." That's
mm-hmm,
actually what what led to creation of YOLO movement. To enjoy
mm-hmm,
the moment because you that's only what you get. You only get one life. Do not miss a chance to blow. So yeah, so that's the whole thing behind it, man. It's just that everything, in my opinion, right now is there is agenda behind it. Everything. If you look there, you had before in like Russia or in like France or Germany, you had let's say a literature um, how do I say movement. And that literature movement was not created for a purpose to create some political agenda or whatnot. It was just created to go into understanding of human soul, morals, ethics, philosophy, etc., and that's it. Right now, I don't see a single literature form that does not serve some political gain. if
Right.
you understand what I mean,
Yeah.
or political goal. And that's not just for literature; is for movies, is for everything.
Well,
And then that's problematic.
scientists have become our prophets. I heard that once and I liked it. Um, Back in the day, you'd have somebody come and claim prophethood, that they're sent by God to deliver a message to people.
Mm,
And the people would look for a certain amount of proof. You know, they wouldn't just, despite what some people may, narrative that some people may present today, but you know, people would look for a certain amount of proof. Every prophet was rejected, but there was a point where people accepted them as prophets, or some people did anyways, and they believed their message. You know, nowadays we have scientists who say, well, you know, we have examined the facts, and it looks like you know, this universe is infinitely expanding. It doesn't have a beginning, a middle, or an end, and you know, this is what, and then the people just accept that, just go, okay, well, the science community says this, right? So we believe it. It's no
mm.
different than people back in the day who accepted prophets, and what the prophets said and the warnings they gave. And um, but yeah, man, this is apparently what people like to listen to. The viewership went up when we started talking about these goofy topics, unrelated to numbers. So
All right, it went up from 3 to 9. It's a good
it tripled,
progress.
man.
Yeah, it tripled, man.
Tripled.
Numbers are truth.
Okay, we can conclude there. Do you have anything else?
Nothing else. Let's break a leg.
Break a leg. Okay, stay safe, everyone. Salam alaikum. Have a good day.
You too.